Howdy folks, Nathan here with a question for you. Why are you buying crossovers? The reason why I ask that is because of the two cars behind me. I want to convince you that these might be a better choice than a crossover. What I have behind me, both of them are 2021. That one is a Nissan Altima Platinum with the 2.5 liter and all-wheel drive. And the one directly behind me, that is the brand new 2021 Kia K5 GT line with all-wheel drive. All right, so let's talk about these vehicles and why I think that maybe a crossover is something you should rethink. First of all, a crossover is basically a large station wagon with decent ground clearance. And a lot of you guys don't need it. You don't live up here in Colorado where you have a lot of snow. So what if you just need all-wheel drive? Well, both these vehicles have it. Not only that, but both these vehicles have really good driving dynamics. I mean, they're quite comfortable. The Nissan Altima is pretty much a luxury car that is affordable. And the Kia K5, man, that is a fun car to drive. So one is logical and luxurious, and the other one, the K5, sporty and kind of youthful. And frankly speaking, both of them are a lot more enjoyable to drive than the equivalent crossover. All right, what you're looking at here is a 182 horsepower, 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine that makes 178 horsepower. This is Nissan's go-to engine, and it's fairly efficient. With all-wheel drive, it gets a combined 29 mpg. That's pretty good considering the drag you get from an all-wheel drive system. It's hooked up to a continuously variable transmission, a CVT, so it's not exactly what I would call fast, especially up here at high elevation. Turbocharged engines do much better up here. However, it still gets out of its own way, and funny thing is, off the line, this thing's actually snappier for the first 20 feet. All right, guys, now you're in for a treat because this is my first time opening the hood of the Kia, which is a 1.6 liter turbocharged engine. It's a GDI that puts out 180 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Very torquey engine. And it's hooked up to an 8-speed automatic transmission, not a dual clutch like a lot of you thought, and not a CVT like the Nissan. But here's the cool part. It's all-wheel drive. It is a lot more powerful, and it gets exactly, or nearly exactly, the same fuel mileage as the Nissan Altima, a combined 29 mpg. All right, so why am I using these two cars? I think part of it has to do with the fact that Kia is starting to dominate the market with almost everything they build. They really are impressive, even though I think some of their names are a little weird, like Carnival. But the point is that they build really good cars now, and really good SUVs, and really good crossovers. Nissan, well, they've been in the business for a long time. As a matter of fact, that Altima, we did a video on something very similar, an SV version, recently, so we've actually done a lot on that. So I wanted to focus a little bit on this, but also I wanted to explain why both these vehicles might be a lot more to your liking than the equivalent crossover. All right, so let's talk about utility, because that's one of the reasons why you guys are out there buying crossovers. Sports utility vehicles, right? Crossovers, as I said before, are like tall station wagons. And the thing about them is that they're not as efficient or as fun to drive or as easy to drive as a sedan. Really, the only reason to get a crossover in my book is because it's really easy to get in and out of, especially if you're a large person like me. But if you're not a big ape, you know what I mean? Let me show you something. This is a 16 cubic foot space in here. Really, really big. And on top of that, you do get an actual donut. A little bit of a cargo space in there too, if you really need it. That is a lot of trunk space, but it doesn't end there. Let me show you the Nissan. Come here. Not quite as big. 15.4 cubic feet of cargo space. Still a lot. And under this, guessed it, spare tire. Not as much cargo room, but still quite a bit. Both vehicles have split folding rear seats. Both vehicles can hold a lot of stuff. And as I'm about to show you, both vehicles are rather comfortable. Look at this interior, it looks great. Kia brought in a whole bunch of European engineers to design the exterior and the interior of their vehicles, and it shows. Look around. Yes, space. Yes, comfort, decent seats, absolutely fantastic looking interior. Some of the plastics I only feel a little bit discount, but remember, this is not a luxury car. It just kind of looks like one. More importantly, one of the best steering wheels in the business. For a front-wheel drive bias vehicle, it's like a BMW. I love it, and I love the flat bottom. Really good for girthy humans. Proper gear lever, proper 8-speed automatic transmission, no flappy paddles, and that is okay. Switch gear, really good. I love toggle switches all over this area here. Very simple. Your drive mode is accessed here, rotating the knob. Very simple. This whole display, really well laid out. I do like the volume control knob. Thank you very much, Kia. Now keep in mind that this is sort of a mid-level vehicle. You can actually go higher. The GT line is something that gives you nicer wheels, cooler looking interior, unique front end, that type of thing. And I gotta tell you, the car looks like the business, but is it comfortable in the back? Okay, so my driver's seat is all the way back. I'm 6'1". That's important information for those of you who are tall. Here I go. So my feet do fit underneath the seat. Thank goodness. If you look up here, you're gonna see that it has a giant sunroof. Now what that does is it kind of compromises some of the space if you're sitting in the middle and you're tall. But up here it's scalloped. And that's ingenious because if I sit normal, I actually have a little bit of headroom. If I lean over, then I don't. That's because of this bump here, and I am guessing this has to do with the motor that pulls back the shade. That makes total sense that it's there. The good news is it does not encumber outward visibility. No problem there. And I am comfortable back here. Not only that, but look at these seats. I think they look fantastic. Here we are in the Nissan. A little over a year ago, I was at an event here in Colorado, but they had this vehicle when it just came out, and the Nissan rep said, "Welcome to the luxury lounge." Okay, I think they're right. This is a really comfortable interior. They have the zero gravity seats, excellent leather lines. I really like the design, and I love this right here, this area. Let me tell you why. Nothing gets lost. This is all very simple. I love the buttons down here, unlike the Kia. Yes, okay, smaller screen, but the overall layout is extremely intelligent. Very easy buttons to access, large knobs to use, volume control. Everything here just makes sense. But what about the back seat? Here we go. More space, more usable space, about the same amount of headroom as the K5, but it doesn't have the giant sunroof. It does have a small one. The seats are very comfortable. And other than this, all the other materials are quite nice. Now, if you look at the vehicles out there, like the Toyota Camry, the K5, the Altima, the Honda Accord, they still sell a lot of vehicles. Combined sales are well over 1 million, even during the time of COVID. It's a lot of vehicles sold here in the United States. The question is, why are these vehicles losing ground to crossovers? I think a lot of people buy crossovers because they think I need more space or I need more utility. But honestly, if you're sacrificing that for a vehicle that drives a little bit numb compared to the sedan version of that vehicle, maybe you're missing out. There is one easy way to find out. Let's take them for a ride and see how they handle. You might be surprised. The suspension and the large 18-inch wheels on the Kia K5, the GT line, it's a lot more of a sporty feel. So I wouldn't say it's harsh. It's not harsh, but you do feel a lot more. Road noise isn't too bad. I can hear tire noise, but there's not a lot of wind noise even at speed. Unlike the Nissan though, when I go through a pothole, I really feel it in this car by comparison. However, go through a corner, and this car feels very, very sporty. Wonderful setting on the suspension. And see, that's how I like it. I like having a firm feel. And this is something you can't quite get from your average crossover. Woo! But it handles great. Man, Kia is just hitting it out of the park. So I guess the question is, what if you don't need this much sport? What if you want a little bit more cush? Well, my friend, the Nissan Altima might be the car for you. One of the things that Nissan's managed to do, not only with this vehicle, but with the Sentra and even to a lesser extent the Versa, is they managed to dial in a much more compliant ride throughout the line. You can get this vehicle with a turbocharged engine. It's got a ton of power, but it's only for front wheel drive, which sucks. I would love to have that powertrain with all-wheel drive, but it just doesn't work out, which is a bummer. I love the seats. The driving position is excellent. Noise isolation is about on par with the Kia, but its highway comfort is absolutely excellent. Better, in fact, than the Toyota Camry all-wheel drive I recently drove. Now, by the way, they've recalibrated the CVT, and I know that a lot of comments below are going to be, oh, the CVT is terrible. They've improved over the past few years, so they're better. That's in terms of quality. In terms of drivability, there's still a little bit elastic, so you put your foot down, revs come up, it takes a second for it to really kick in. And one more thing, I think both cars look fantastic. Better looking than most crossovers. A couple things here. First of all, I have the stickers for both vehicles. And the Kia, as equipped, which is well loaded, GT line, is $31,300. Now bear in mind, that's not a luxury car, that is a sporty fun car that has a lot of luxury amenities. The Nissan Altima, well, this is the platinum version, so it is the very top of the line of what they have. And this one comes out to $36,745. But here's the thing, both vehicles do price around the same. They're very, very competitive. It just depends on which trim that you get. And unfortunately, we were unable to get apples to apples in terms of pricing, but in terms of performance, they're very similar in many ways, especially, well, gas mileage. What are you missing out on if you buy a crossover? I think these vehicles are a lot more compliant. I think they're a lot more enjoyable to drive. They're easier to drive in traffic, and frankly speaking, sedans simply appeal to certain people. Thanks for joining me for the Fast Lane Car and TFL Now. This is Nathan. I'll see you next time.